Good evening and welcome to Lynn's After Work Words of Wisdom. It's so good to be with you today, but I don't know why I'm sitting outside in South Florida in this 80 and 90 degree weather, but it was very important I come to you today. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to attend the high school graduation where I teach at Inlet Grove Community High School. And I'm telling you, it was a wonderful experience. And as I listened to one of the young women graduates speaking, she spoke about the loss of her parent. And just on Sunday, I had posted about how Mother's Day has always been very difficult for me, and having lost my mother at 6. So I was really tuned in to hear what she had to say. And it was very interesting because one of the things it made me think about was the fact that we never know what another person is going through and what they had to endure to get to where they are. We don't know what obstacles they had to push past. We just don't know that. But I do know one thing. I know that in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill tells us all that one of the steps to riches and success is to be persistent. Persistent means to keep going no matter what, not to allow obstacles to stand in your way, to say, I'm going to do this even though it may be hard, to say, I'm going to do this even though my knees may be shaking. I'm going to do this even though I don't see what the end's going to be. I'm still going to do it. I'm going to press on. You know, in the Bible it says, I'm going to press on towards the mark of the higher calling. That's being persistent. And then I thought about some stories. Yesterday I also heard from our CEO, Dr. Emma Banks. She was telling me the story of how she became the first, or how they started in weekend schools at Nova for the doctorate program because of her persistence. She wanted to do weekends and they didn't have a program. And she would go down there every week and just be there in their faces. And finally they said, you know what? If you can get 100 people to sign up and say they're interested in weekend classes, then we'll discuss starting weekend classes. Well, you know what if you know Dr. Banks, and some of you will know Dr. Banks wasn't going to stop at 100. She said she brought them 500 names of people who wanted to go to school on the weekend. And so they began the weekend program, and she got her doctorate through that program. And that reminded me of the story of my mentor, H.T. Smith, an attorney in Miami, who often tells the story of how he had gone to school at Florida A&M and then gone into the Army. And he had actually served in Vietnam. And when he came out of Vietnam, he wanted to go to law school. And he went to the University of Miami saying he wanted to apply to law school then. And they said, well, we're sorry, law school started last week, and we don't have the applications yet for next year, so come back. And he said, no, I want to go to law school now. And he stayed around there, and he wanted to meet with the dean, and eventually they agreed that he could start law school, even though he had already started, on the condition that he took the LSAT and got a decent score, and he could continue in law school. Because when he was asked, had he taken the LSAT, his response was, they didn't give it in Vietnam. So those are two great examples of persistence and having the ability to keep going. And you know, we must have that. But you know, when I think about it, being persistent really is not just enough. Because you can be persistent, but how much progress you will make will depend on whether or not you're also resilient. And having resiliency is just as important, I think, as being persistent. I was recently talking to a good friend of mine who got a federal appointment. I'm so proud of her, and I'm looking forward to her being on the bench. And when we were talking, she was saying, well, you know, I thought about it when people said, go ahead and do it. And I thought about people like you and how resilient you are and how you keep going for it. And, you know, I think about it sometimes. It's not always easy, but being able to recover from tough times is very important. It's just as important as being persistent during tough times. Because if you don't have the ability to quickly recover, that can take a long time to you to get to the goal. And it's not being callous. It's not being unfeeling. It's being the ability to know that you have what it takes, that you're not going to allow even that to keep you down. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, it was wrong. Yeah, you wish you didn't have to go through it. You wish there had been another way, but you're not going to allow that to stop you. You're going to be able to recover. You're going to be able to move forward. You're going to be able to reinvent yourself. I think about the times I've had to reinvent myself. You know, and I tell it all in my book. The party's not over until God says so. I think about what I went through when I lost my first job as an attorney with the state attorney's office. But then being able to come back, being able to come to West Palm Beach, being able to get a good job and work with the public defender's office, being able to build back my reputation as a good trial attorney, being able to build back my reputation by working in the community, the ability I had to move forward and to do things. And then even when other things happened in my life, even when I became still in the news and people knew of things and people were saying bad things, my ability to keep going, my ability to recover from that, my ability to even be where I am today is because of my ability to be resilient, my ability to recover from tough times, my ability. And I don't know where I got it from. I don't know why I'm so resilient, but I know that and the persistence is what's made me successful today. Now, I may not have the $1 million that I will have one day, but right now, based on everything I know I've gone through, I know that persistence and resiliency has been the key to my success. And then I think about that young lady as she gave that speech at graduation yesterday. And I think about what she had to go through and how she had to be persistent and how she had to be resilient to get her to the point. I think she was either the solitarian or the victim. She may have been, she was the solitarian. So the fact that she could graduate in that position, having faced the loss of a parent. You know, I lost my stepmother my beginning of semester of my senior year, but I wasn't solitarian. I didn't have to get in front of people and share that. Most people didn't know even how I was feeling as a result of that, but she shared that. And I just want to say, we need to lift up everybody. We never know what someone else is going through. Thank God we've been persistent. Thank God for our resiliency. And let's help other people find that in themselves so they can continue to go forward. I know that you're going to go through hard times. We all do. But remember, nothing can beat you down because you are wonderfully made in the image of the Creator. So go forth and be blessed. Thank you for joining me. This is Lynn Whitfield, your sister and your beacon of light, navigating you to a brighter and better tomorrow. Now go out, be funny, and be blessed.